see. Was this everything? Yes, really everything. Let's talk about this. First thing I want to say is, yes, it looks amazing, but did you see the content that they showed? It was almost everything is still the first. Everything is still the first mission, like the first reactor mission, or it seems it's. I put it back because Sephiroth was in it, but this could be just a flashback. I also seen him fighting with Ares. But what we didn't see at all or anything is like that. We didn't see Tifa, we didn't see her bar, the slums or anything like that. We didn't see Rufus or his father or anything like that or so. So I have the feeling everything we saw right now in this trailer was the first reactor mission. And they put a little bit more to it. Like I said, they put fighting with Ares in it and so on. And maybe I could be wrong, maybe that is later, that is already later when we meet Ares a second time or anything like that. But for me, it seems everything we saw was so far the first reactor mission, and that's not very optimistic when we, and they didn't show I think any release date. I heard, at least on Twitter or anything, they said we would see more on June. I guess June is E3, I could be wrong. But so they maybe show more there. Maybe they will give us a release, but I don't think this game will come out soon. So now here, kind of my worries. I'm a big Final Fantasy VII fan. I think I said that this a couple of times, but if you watch the first time, I'm a big Final Fantasy VII fan. You may find in my game inspiration of games like Final Fantasy VII and so on. Now, I will take the Final Fantasy VII remaster. What is it? Remaster, remake. There's a difference, I know. Whatever. I will take it as something like a separate game. Something like a fan game. Just so I don't get disappointed, because I'm pretty sure I will get disappointed. I mean, again, it looks amazing. The only thing that I'm really concerned about is the combat system. And it looks like, and I'm not sure if they even communicated it, like it won't be turn-based. And I'm sorry, and this Final Fantasy introduced turn-based JRPGs to a Western audience. Final Fantasy VII inspired so many other turn-based RPGs and influenced them. You can't give us a Final Fantasy VII remake and not making the combat system not turn-based but real-time. So what I've seen of the combat system right now, and I could be wrong, it goes kind of in the direction of Kingdom Hearts. So I didn't play the third Kingdom Hearts, but I played Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. And the combat system was definitely not the thing that made these games you know, it was not like the best. So like I said, maybe free is Kingdom Hearts 3 is completely different, and the combat system is improved in many ways. I don't know, but it was never the combat system that drew me to the Kingdom Hearts games. Um, so like I said, I'm not sure if they said it would be not turn-based or anything like that, or if this was some kind of statement they made. I'm not sure about that. Um, that mean there is something bugged here. Let's see. No, it seems better now. Oh, I know what the problem is. No, it's fine. I have to change that. But anyway, sorry about this little internet. And you may disagree with me, but I think if you want to be really true to the game, you just have to do a turn-based game. There's no way around it. And I played Final Fantasy 15. I absolutely hated the combat system after a while. So I'm not. I don't think that Square Enix can bring me a satisfying combat system that is not turn-based. So now why don't doesn't go Square Enix turn-based? The answer is pretty simple, because they have a mind of Western AAA companies, and Western AAA companies, they want to create shallow, terrible games that everyone can play, that for everyone is a little bit. That's why they all have the same formula. They found out what's the formula that as many people as possible play, so every game is kind of the same shit. Um, and if you go turn-based RPG, then there is the problem that it is a niche, and that's just not what AAA companies want to do. They don't want to make games for a niche audience. What turn-based RPGs are. Of course, let's steal RPG elements and put it in the games, so the fans of JRPGs will still buy our games. But let's not. But let's also have machine guns and car chases and all the stuff in it, so everyone has something. Um, that's kind of the formula they have. It's a terrible formula, because all these games, we have these games since 10 years, and um, it's boring like hell. It's never something new or something like that. Anyway, let's go back to Square Enix. And Square Enix with Final Fantasy 15, they absolutely showed me, and not even with that, with other things, they have a AAA mind, because Final Fantasy 15, you just see that the open world that was just kind of pushed in, um, it and it felt never right there because of the story, um, because of the pacing of the game and everything, because of what comes after the open world, and that is a very linear game that comes after that. And they just put in the open world because they are so afraid to about the Western audience. And again, Final Fantasy VII introduced, um, or maybe not introduced. Maybe you say, no, I played Grandia before, or I played Final Fantasy VI before, and so on. That's what introduced me, but it popularized JRPGs in the Western culture. That's what Final Fantasy VII did. And yeah, Square Enix is so afraid of going niche with something, at least it seems to me, and I think games like Persona 5 and so games like Persona 5 that know the niche, that don't try to be something different or anything like that, they just showed that there is an audience absolutely also in the West for games like this. So I really wish Square Enix would see that. Um, I really wish they would see that and they would really go back to turn-based, absolutely for the Final Fantasy series, and absolutely for Final Fantasy VII. Of course, they won't do that, but I could be wrong. Maybe the combat system is amazing, but I think how amazing the combat system can be as amazing as possible. It just won't never will feel like Final Fantasy VII if they not. They should just use the combat system from back then. Maybe, of course, with new animations, maybe with some new abilities and stuff like that. Maybe with some new commands and so on. Maybe with, of course, with a little bit more camera work and stuff like that. But otherwise, the combat system of Final Fantasy VII was so great back then. It's still beloved by so many. If you want to make a Final Fantasy VII remake that feels like Final Fantasy VII, don't fuck around too much with the combat system. That's just what I want to say. That's where I'm worried about. And I think that's what I want to say about that. Final Fantasy VII. Of course, I will play it just to see these beloved characters in next gen graphics. I think that's of course worth it. I don't think the game will feel like Final Fantasy VII. I'm really worried that they even fuck up the combat system completely, so it's not so that they experiment too much. I would rather they would stay true to the combat system, um, but that's not what will happen. And I think the release is still far away because the footage we saw, it seemed where everything really from the start of the game and not pretty far in. I know it will be released in episodes, but this episode still needs some content. So I think I heard once there will be 3 episodes or so on. And I mean, putting the whole Final Fantasy VII experience in 3 episodes, that still means at least Midgar should be finished after the first episode. That should be the. I think that would be even considered a good episode to have the whole Midgar part. And of course we saw only Midgar stuff, but there's still a lot of characters missing, like Tifa and so on, we didn't see in the game yet. So I think they are not that far yet. The release date is still far away, like many worry. And that's my thought about Final Fantasy VII.